In this video, we're going to start to talk about how to get our linked list to work with a for of loop. Now, if you are not familiar with generators or iterators, I encourage you to go back to the previous text lecture where I posted a link to a YouTube video I created to help you understand exactly what generators and iterators are. Once you watch that video, come back here and we'll talk about how to set this thing up. In the previous video, we spoke about the for each helper, which we could use to iterate through every node on a list. We could then modify or log or do whatever we wanted to every given node. When we set up the for of helper right here, we're essentially doing the exact same thing. So we're still setting something up that will allow us to iterate through every node in a linked list. But this time around, we're going to do that iteration using just a slightly different syntax. So we're going to enable ourselves to use a for of helper on our linked list, whereas previously we were using the for each function. So nearly identical functionality here, just slightly different syntax. That's all. Now, looking at the code sample for the for of loop, we should be able to insert some number of items into our linked list and then iterate through each of those nodes by writing a for of loop that iterates over the list, and then every element that we are receiving inside the loop will be one distinct node. And notice this is the entire node that we are getting access to. It's not just the data property or anything like that. It is the entire node. So our goal is going to be to set up a generator function with our for of loop or with our linked list to enable us to use the for of loop. So let's get to it. Enough talking. Now this exercise we're going to do together because it is one that's pretty darn complicated, and it's something that I'm just kind of throwing out here in case you were kind of interested in where you might use a generator in the practical sense. So I'm inside of my index.js file. Here's the for each function. Immediately underneath it, we're going to add on a iterator function. So we're going to say star and then square braces symbol.iterator. Then we'll close out the square bracket here and add on our parentheses. So this defines a generator function with the key of symbol.iterator. Then inside of here, we'll take the head node, so let head equals this dot head, or excuse me, let node equals this dot head, and then we will iterate through our linked list with a while loop. So we'll say while node, and then node equals node.next. And then for every step along the node, we will yield the current node. So yield right here, along with the star and the iterator and all this stuff, is really only going to make sense if you watch that previous video or if you have some previous experience with generators in JavaScript. So again, I do encourage you to check that stuff out. So now that we've added this block right here, we can now use a for of loop to work with our linked list. Let's flip on over to our test.js file. Down here around line 295 or so, you'll notice that I already removed the .skip, so make sure you remove that and it's just the describe with for of loops. In this test, we can take a quick look at what's going on here. We create a new list, we insert 4 items, and then we use a for of loop to iterate through the linked list. And for every node, we add 10 to the data property. And then afterwards, the test makes sure that the numbers were incremented properly. Let's flip on over to our terminal where we can see, yep, the for of loop is definitely working here. So again, this was just a kind of a quick aside that I thought it would be fun to throw in here just so you can see a practical example of a generator function along with the iterator as well. Okay, so that's pretty much it for our linked list implementation. We've gone through linked lists pretty much every possible way I could think of as far as working with them, inserting, removing elements, all that kind of good stuff. But at this point, we only really know kind of how a linked list works. We don't really have any idea of where to use it or what type of interview questions we could expect to see. So we're going to take a break right now. When we come back in the next video, we're going to start to tackle some different problems that can be solved very easily by using a linked list, and some problems that are going to really challenge your understanding of linked lists and how they work. So quick break, and we'll start tackling some additional problems in the next video.